Now, in the previous lecture, we have introduced the concept of an interpolating polynomial. We were deriving the Lagrange interpolating polynomial which fits a given data. Let us just revise what we have done last time. We were trying to derive the Lagrange interpolating polynomial. The data that is given to us is of the form x f x, some point x naught f at x naught, x 1 f at x 1, so on x n f at x n. So, we have got a set of n plus 1 data points. Data points are data values which we have here. We have written the Lagrange interpolating polynomial as a linear combination of these ordinates. We shall call this x I as the abscissa of this data. These are the abscissa and f at x I are the ordinates. Now, this representation is obvious because we can represent x f x as a point in the 2 dimensional coordinate plane. Therefore, we shall call them as abscissas and these are the ordinates. Now, we write this polynomial of degree n at x as a linear combination of f x naught f x 1 f x n, that is some L 0 x f of x 0, L 1 x f of x 1 plus so on L n x f at x n. Then we have mentioned that since P n x is a polynomial of degree n, all L I x should also be polynomials of degree n. Therefore, these are all polynomials of degree n. P n x of course finally may turn out to be a polynomial of degree less than or equal to n, polynomial of degree less than or equal to n. If the leading terms cancel here, then it is going to be a lower order polynomial. For example, we might have given 100 data, but they are all lying on a straight line. So, the 100 data will be representing just a linear polynomial and not a polynomial degree 99. Therefore, this P n x may finally be a polynomial of degree less than or equal to n, while L 0, L 1, L n x will be polynomials of degree n only. Now, then we have shown that these polynomials L I x should satisfy the condition L I x j is equal to 0 for I not equal to j, and this should be equal to 1 for I is equal to j. Under this condition, this polynomial exactly fits the given data. So, in this case P n x fits the data. These polynomials are called the Lagrange fundamental polynomials. These are called the Lagrange fundamental polynomials. Now, the next step is how do we construct the polynomial of degree n which satisfies this particular property, and the writing of such a polynomial is really very trivial, because it should be 0 when I substitute x is equal to x j, and when I substitute I is equal to j, that is x I, it should have value 1. That means I can now define a polynomial L I x as equal to, in the numerator I will have a numerator and denominator x minus x naught, all the products x minus x I minus 1, x minus x I plus 1, x minus x n, and in the denominator I will have x I minus x naught, x I minus x I minus 1, x I minus x I plus 1, x I minus x n. that is I is equal to 1, 2, 3 so on n. Now, in the numerator we have written all the products except the product here, that is x minus xi, and that belongs to this suffix I. Now, let us substitute x is equal to x naught. It is 0 because numerator has x minus x naught. So, for all xi this is going to be 0 except when x is equal to xi. Therefore, when x is equal to xi, the numerator is same as the denominator, therefore it cancels. Therefore, this satisfies the property that Lixj is equal to 0 for I not equal to j, and this is equal to 1 for I is equal to j. Therefore, this is itself the Lagrange fundamental polynomials that is required in our in the construction of the Lagrange interpolating polynomial. Now, we can put this in a simple notation by just using a notation. So, let us set the Wx as the product of all the factors given in the problem. So, these are the products using all the abscissas x minus x naught, x minus x1 so on x minus xn. Then let us find out what is the derivative of this with respect to x, but at xi. These are n plus 1 factors. Therefore, if I differentiate there will be n plus 1 terms. There will be only one term which will not contain, I will write down this particular factor here also, x minus xi. Let us write this x minus xi. When I differentiate this, there will be only one term which will not contain this, which is the derivative of this term, because these are all linear factors. When I substitute xi, all of them would vanish except one term which is containing this one, and that term will be, when I differentiate the whole thing, this goes, I substitute the remaining. So, what I will have here is x minus x naught, xi minus x1, the previous one is xi minus 1, the next one xi minus xi plus 1, and the last term xi minus xn. So, all the terms would disappear except one term which was the derivative using this particular factor that we have. We see that the denominator of Lix is simply w prime xi, this is same as this denominator. Therefore, Lix in simple notation can be written as Wx. I have to remove x minus xi, so I will divide by x minus xi. Therefore, Wx upon x minus xi is the numerator and the denominator is w prime of xi. So, I can simply write these Lagrange fundamental polynomials in this particular notation. When once these Lix are determined, I will substitute in the polynomial to find Lagrange interpolating polynomial a summation I is equal to 0 to n Lix f of xi. So, I will substitute these fundamental polynomials in this and simplify this to get my Lagrange interpolating polynomial. Now, let us construct few simple cases. The first case we shall construct is, let us take a linear interpolating polynomial. Linear interpolating polynomial. Therefore, we are considering any 2 points arbitrarily. So, let us suppose we are considering the points x0, f0, x1, f1. So, we are considering the case of only 2 points x0, f0, x1, f1. Therefore, our fundamental polynomial should be, now the factors Wx will be all the factors x minus x naught, x minus x1. There are only 2 abscissa, therefore, there will be only 2 factors. Therefore, our L0x must be equal to, I must skip in the numerator the factor corresponding to this suffix, that is your x0. So, I must skip x minus x0. So, I will have x minus x naught. And what is the denominator? The denominator is the numerator evaluated at xi, that is the point with this suffix. So, I will have to evaluate this numerator at x 0, that is x 0 minus x 1. Now, let us write down L 1 x. Now, I must skip in the numerator x minus x 1. So, what is left out is x minus x naught. Evaluate it at x 1 minus x naught. Therefore, our polynomial of degree 1 will be L 0 x into f of x 0, L 1 of x, f at x 1. This will be the required polynomial. Now, let us take a simple example along with this. So, let us take this as example. Now, I will number it so that I want to use this in the later steps. So, I will use them as number 1 and this. Construct the linear polynomial which fits the data x f x 1 2 2 5. Predict the value at 1.5. Predict the value using this linear polynomial, what would be this value at x is equal to 1.5. Now, here our x 0 is 1, x 1 is equal to 2, f 0 is 2, f 1 is equal to 5. Therefore, our L 0 x is x minus, let us write down the formula again, x minus x 1 divided by x naught minus x 1. Therefore, this is x minus 2 divided by 1 minus 2. So, that will be minus of x minus 2. L 1 x is x minus x 0 divided by x 1 minus x 0. So, that is x minus 1 from here and 2 minus 1, that is equal to x minus 1. Therefore, our required polynomial is P 1 x is L 0 x f 0 plus L 1 x f 1. Let us substitute the values. L 0 x is minus x minus 2, f 0 is 2, L 1 x is x minus 1, f 1 is 5. This is 5 x minus 2 x, that is 3 x, this is minus 5 plus 4. So, this is minus 1. Therefore, this is a polynomial which fits exactly the given data. Now, we want to predict the value of f at 1.5 is what is being asked. So, I would give the estimate of this as P 1 at 1.5, that is 3 into 1.5 minus 1, that is equal to 3.5. So, this will be the value, the predicted value of the function f at the point 1.5. Now, we will little later see how good this value is or what is the error in using this particular approximation. Now, let us take up what would be the quadratic interpolating polynomial. So, similarly, let us derive the quadratic interpolating polynomial. I want to use 3 points and construct a polynomial of degree 2 which passes through this. That means, I have got the data as x f x, x 0, x 1, x 2, f 0, f 1, f 2. Therefore, I can write down the Lagrange fundamental polynomials immediately. The numerator should miss x minus x 0. So, I will have the remaining factors x minus x 1, x minus x 2. The denominator is evaluation at x 0. So, this is x 0 minus x 1, x 0 minus x 2, and L 1 x is the numerator should skip now x minus x 1. So, I will have x minus x 0, x minus x 2, and I evaluate it at x 1 for the denominator. So, this will be x 1 minus x 0, x 1 minus x 2. And the third fundamental polynomial is L 2 x. I skip now the numerator x minus x 2. So, I will have x minus x 0, x minus x 1. I evaluate it at x 2, x 2 minus x 0, x 2 minus x 1. When once these polynomials are evaluated, I immediately write down the polynomial of degree 2 x is equal to L 0 x f 0, L 1 x f 1, L 2 x f 2. Now, let us also illustrate an example for this, so that we can discuss about the error. So, let me write down the example. Now, fit an interpolating polynomial for the given data. So, let us give this data as x f x. I will take it as 1, 2, 2, 5, 4, 17. Then we will say predict the value of f x at x is equal to 3. Now, what is very important to note here is these data points are arbitrary data points. That means, they are not having any particular step length or anything. You can see the distance between these two is 1, the distance between these two is 2. So, these are really a random set of points. You can particularize to the case of when you have a equispaced data, but otherwise this is an arbitrary data. So, let us write down the fundamental polynomials. So, I will have x L 0 x is equal to, our x 0 is 1, x 1 is 2, x 2 is 4. So, I will have here is x minus 2 into x minus 4 divided by 1 minus 2, 1 minus 4. X 0 is 1. So, I am substituting x 0 is 1, 1 minus 2, 1 minus 4. So, this gives minus 3 minus 1. So, this is plus 1 upon 3 x minus 2, x minus 4. Similarly, I construct L 1 x. Now, we would miss x 1, that is 2, factor corresponding to 2. So, I will have the numerator x minus 1, x minus 4, we have 2 minus 1, 2 minus 4. This is 2 minus 1, 2 minus 4. So, this gives you 1, this gives you minus 2. So, this gives you minus half x minus 1, x minus 4. And the third polynomial is L 2 x. Now, we will have to skip my x 2, that is 4, the factor corresponding to 4. So, I will have here x minus 1 into x minus 2 divided by 4 minus 1, 4 minus 2. This gives us 3, this gives us 2. So, I will have here 1 upon 6 x minus 1 into x minus 2. Therefore, the required polynomial is P2x, that is I am L0x f0, that is 1 by 3 x minus 2 x minus 4 into 2, that is f0 is 2, minus half x minus 1 x minus 4, f1 is 5, plus 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6 x minus 1 x minus 2, and f2 is 17. Now, I can collect the coefficients from all this. This I will leave it a simple exercise for you. This comes out to be x squared plus 1. The coefficient of x cancels throughout, and I simply have this as x squared plus 1. So that we can predict the value of at 3 as simply equal to 10. Now, this is the polynomial. We can just check it again back whether we have done it correctly or not. Just substitute x is equal to 1, this is 2, when x is equal to 2, this is 4 plus 1 5, x is equal to 4, that is 16 plus 1 17. So, this polynomial is fitted this data exactly. So, this is a verification that we can cross check because we are exactly fitting the given data, and this is the predicted value. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the polynomial that we are constructing is fitting the data exactly, but when we predict it at a particular value, not the point which is given there, we do not know how accurate this particular value this 10 is. Therefore, we must define what is the error in our interpolated values, which we can also call as the truncation error. So, we would like to derive a formula for the error of interpolation. So, let us call this as error of interpolation. This is also called the truncation error. This is also called the truncation error. Now, as I mentioned, there is no error at the nodal points, because the we are fitting the data exactly, there is no, therefore no error at x0 x1 x2 xn. The error arises only when we are interpolating at a particular another point. So, let us denote this fx minus px. Px is a polynomial of any degree 1, 2 or 3 or anything. This is our approximation, and let us denote this as error. Error polynomial of degree n of x. So, that means we are now writing in general your px as a pnx. It could be n is 1, it is linear, n is 2 quadratic polynomial, or otherwise it is a degree n. Remember, our data is what is this data given to us? It is xi fi. This is the data given to us. This is the data given to us. Now, as I said, there is no error at the nodal points. That means, if I put x is equal to xi, this obviously is 0, fxi minus pxi is 0, because that is the data is exactly fitted. So, error at the abscissa xi is equal to fxi minus p at xi is equal to 0, because we are fitting the data exactly. Now, to generalize the problem, let us denote our first point x0 as a last point xn as b, so that we are talking of the interval a b, a general interval a b. Now, we are interpolating at an arbitrary point in between. So, let us choose x an arbitrary point contained in this interval a b. Therefore, x is an arbitrary point. And therefore, x is not equal to xi. Obviously, this is not a this point. Now, I define a new function gt. So, I will define a function g of t. T is a new variable. I will write this as g of t is equal to f of t minus p of t, let us put it in a bracket, minus f x minus g f x minus p x into t minus x naught, t minus x 1, t minus x n divided by x minus x naught, x minus x 1, x minus x n. Now, you will understand why we are constructing such a function, because I want to get from this what will be the expression for this E n is equal to f x minus p x. This function would enable me to find such a quantity. Now, let us look at the function g t. G t is containing f t, p t, f x, p x. Our function, we are expecting that the whatever the data that is given is representing continuous function. Therefore, this everything is continuous here, therefore, g t is also a continuous function. So, g t is a continuous function. G t is a continuous function. Now, let us just look at the property of this g t. Let us set t is equal to x in this. Let us put t is equal to x. Now, before we look at the first one, let us first look at this last factor. When I put t is equal to x, this is same as the denominator, all the terms are same as, therefore, they cancel off and we will have 1. When t is equal to x, this is f x minus p x minus f x minus p x into 1, therefore, this will be simply g of x is equal to 0, because this is same as this and we have this as equal to 0. Now, let us set t is equal to x I, set t is equal to x I, that is our points x 0, x 1, x 2, x n. Then g at x I is equal to f at x I minus p at x I, that is equal to 0 by definition, that is our f x I minus p x I is 0. But here when I put this any one of these x i's, the numerator is 0, because t minus x naught, t minus x 1, t minus x I. When I use any value for t as x I, one of the factors is containing x minus x I. So, this numerator is going to be 0, but this is also 0. So, therefore, this is also equal to 0. These are I is equal to 0, 1, 2, n. Therefore, g t is a function of t which vanishes at n plus 1 plus 1, n plus 2 points. Therefore, g t vanishes at n plus 2 points, n plus 2 points x 0, x 1, x n and x. And x, of course, x is a point inside x 0, x n, that is our point a b, x 0 point is an interior point. G t is continuous on a b, differentiable, we assume that differentiability also required number of times, g t is differentiable on the open interval a b. Now, I have a function g t which is continuous on a b, differentiable on a b and vanishes at n plus 2 points. Now, I would like to apply a theorem which you have studied in your first semester, that is your Rolle's theorem of a continuous function. Now, what is the Rolle's theorem? I want to use this Rolle's theorem. Now these are our abscissas. Now Rolle's theorem states that if you have a function, let us remove some hx. Let us suppose you have a function hx, h of a is equal to 0, h of b is equal to 0. In fact, they need not be equal to 0, it will simply h of a is equal to h of b, and h is continuous on a b, differentiable on a b. Then the Rolle's theorem states that there exists at least one point between a b where h prime or the derivative of h will be equal to 0. So then the Rolle's theorem states that there exists a point at which h dash of c is equal to 0, where c is a point lying between a and b. Now if you just remember what this was, this really states that if suppose you have a function like this, f of h of a is 0, h of b is 0, then what it states is that there is at least one point at which the slope of the tangent will be parallel to x axis, h dash of c is equal to 0. Yes. Now I would like to apply this Rolle's theorem on this. So if you look at these 2 points x0 x1, gt vanishes at both these points, gx0 is 0, gx1 is 0, gt is continuous, gt is differentiable. Therefore there exists a point here, some c1, at which your g dash of c1 is equal to 0. Now between x1 and x2, gx1 is 0, gx2 is 0. Therefore again there exists a point c2 at which g prime at c2 is equal to 0. Now if I go to the last point here, last interval, again g at xn minus 1 is 0, g at xn is equal to 0. Therefore there exists a point cn at which g prime at cn is equal to 0. Now let us imagine that g prime is some new function hx. If I take this as new function, now I can apply the Rolle's theorem repeatedly. Now I have a function h c1 is 0, h c2 is equal to 0, g dash is continuous, it is differentiable. Therefore there exists a point between c1 and c2 such that the second derivative is equal to 0. Now if I apply repeatedly, then there are n plus 2 points. Therefore repeated application Rolle's theorem would state that n plus 1, 1 less than that is n plus 1th derivative of g will be 0 at least one point between x0 to xn. So if I apply this Rolle's theorem repeatedly, so let us say applying Rolle's theorem repeatedly, we get the n plus 1th derivative at an arbitrary point xi in the interval days is equal to 0, where xi is a point between a and b. Remember this is derivative with respect to t, we are talking of as function of a t. Now let us differentiate this n plus 1 times g n plus 1 of t. So I will differentiate this f n plus 1 of t, pt is only a polynomial of degree n, but differentiating it n plus 1 times. Therefore the derivative of this is going to be 0, minus this is a function of x, so that stays as it is, fx minus px. Now if you look at this one, there are n plus 1 factors, therefore this is a polynomial of degree n plus 1 in t. Therefore if I differentiate it n plus 1 times, I will get factorial n plus 1, n plus 1 into n minus 1 and so on, differentiate it n plus 1 times. So I would get here factorial n plus 1 in the numerator, differentiating the numerator n plus 1 times, it is a polynomial of degree n plus 1. The denominator stays as it is, that is your x minus x naught, so on x minus x n. Now this expression is 0 at xi, therefore g n plus 1 of xi is equal to 0, and that will be equal to, let us now put here f n plus 1 of xi minus, there is no t here, so this stays as it is, so f x minus p x n plus 1 factorial. Now let us revert back this to our notation which we started with. This was w x, this is the product of all the factors that are there in the given problem, that is x minus x naught, x minus 1, x minus x n, that is w x. Now since this is equal to 0, I can now take this to the left hand side and find out what is the value of f x minus p n x. Therefore f x minus p n x, so I am bringing to this side, so this goes up w x, this comes down n plus 1 factorial, and this is f n plus 1 of psi. And we started the definition as error of interpolation is f x minus p x is equal to error at this one. Therefore, whatever we have derived now is nothing but the error of interpolation, and this is your error of f x. This is your error of interpolation. Now since this xi is unknown to us, it is not possible for us to write this expression, but we can bound it. So let us find out what is the bound of this, let us find what is the magnitude of this. N is a number, so I can write it outside, this is magnitude of w x into magnitude of f n plus 1 of xi. Now xi is unknown, therefore what I will do is I will take the maximum possible value of f n plus 1 of x. So I would therefore write this as less than or equal to 1 upon n plus 1 factorial maximum of w x, of course in the interval on, let us write down on a b, maximum on a b, maximum f n plus 1 of f x. We can find the maximum magnitude of f n plus 1 x using any procedure that we know. The maximum of w x I can always find it, and that will give me the bound of the error. That means whatever interpolation that we are doing, linear, quadratic or any approximation, we shall be able to say what is the maximum possible error we are committing in that particular problem. Now let us first have a look at what would be the error in the linear interpolation. Let us take the error in linear interpolation. Therefore we are having only 2 points x0 f0 and x1 f1, these are the only 2 points that we have here, and therefore here the case n is equal to 0, it corresponds to the case n is equal to 0. Therefore I can write down E1 from here, E1 from here, Wx is the product of all the factors, that is x minus x0, x minus x1, no, n is equal to 1, there are 2 points, n is 1, divided by 2 factorial, 1 plus 1 2 factorial, and this is f double prime of psi. Now then let us get this bound, therefore magnitude of E1 would be less than or equal to 1 by 2 maximum of x minus x naught x minus x 1 into maximum of f double dash of x. Now, I can find the maximum of this because it is a quadratic polynomial. I can just set it equal to if I put this as g x, I can find out what is the derivative of this. Derivative of this is equal to x minus x naught plus x minus x 0. Just differentiate it as a product x minus x 1 into 1 x minus x naught. Set this equal to 0 or ordinary maxima minima. It is a function of single variable. So, differentiate first derivative, set it equal to 0, find out the points at which the critical points we find it out, and at all those points find out what is the maximum. So, the maximum value of all those we will take as the required maximum. Therefore, this gives 2x is equal to x naught plus x 1 or x is equal to x naught plus x 1 divided by 2. Therefore, this is maximum at the middle point x naught plus x 1 by 2, and let us find out what is the value. X minus x naught into x minus x 1 will be x naught plus x 1 by 2 minus x naught plus x 1 by 2 minus x 1. This is x 1 minus x naught, this is minus x naught minus x 1. So, I put a minus sign outside and put x minus x naught whole squared by 4. There is a 2 here, there is a 2 here, I will have 4 here. And since there are only 2 points given to us x naught and x 1 here, let us take this distance as equal to h. So, that means I can just write this as h squared by 4. H is the distance x 1 minus x naught.
So, but this is the point of minimum.
No, I have not yet said its maximum. I just evaluated it. I will have to write down magnitude. So, if you want now, if you want into you will have to write down the magnitude. The magnitude, when once you put this magnitude, this will be magnitude. This will be become h square by 4. I thought I will do it in next step, but since you have asked, what we are talking here is maximum of magnitude. Maximum magnitude. So, this will give you the maximum magnitude is this one, magnitude is this. Therefore, the maximum magnitude is x square by 4. Therefore, let us put back this value in this expression. So, let us put it there. So, magnitude of E1 is less than or equal to half, this is h square by 4, and let us denote this by M2. I will denote M2 as maximum of f double dash x. We do not know what is f double dash x, therefore, we need to have estimate through some other source. This is equal to h square by 8 M2. This result can be used in many problems where we need to find the step length h to construct a table. When we take up the problem, it is illustrated. Now, another important one is the error in quadratic interpolation. Let us do quadratic interpolation also. Now, the error in quadratic interpolation, let us write straight away from this last expression, that is your error of E2 f x would be less than or equal to 1 upon n is equal to 2 now, that is n is equal to 2, 1 upon factorial 3 maximum of x minus x naught x minus x 1 x minus x 2 into M3. I will write M3 where M3 is the maximum of f triple dash x in the interval x naught x 2. In the interval we are talking of only x naught x 2, maximum of x naught x 2, x naught x 2. If there is a point, critical point falls outside the range, we are not considering that particular point, we are considering only the points which will fall when we are finding the maximum of this, the critical point should lie between x 0 and x 2, only at that point we can find the maximum. This is a cubic, again we can differentiate it, find the value of the root. There will be two values, two critical points, we can find those two critical points and then find out what is the value at this one. Now before we take up the example 1, example 2 illustrate it, if the data given is equispaced, not randomly given, then this also simplifies into a very simple form like this. Let us take the particular case, let us take the case of equispaced data. Now if it is a equispaced data, I have x 0 here, I have x 1 here, I have x 2 here. Now each is separated by, let us say, h, because it is equispaced data, x 1 minus x 0 is equal to h, which is same as x 2 minus x 1, that is equispaced data. We shall use a simple trick to find this maximum. Let us take this middle point as my origin, some value t, I will call this as t, then this point behind is t minus h, this point will be t plus h, because they are all equispaced. Therefore the point behind is h behind, point ahead is h ahead. Therefore if I take the central point as my origin, then this previous point is t minus h and the next point will be t plus h, then this expression becomes very simple. So now what I want in that case will be the maximum of, I want then the maximum of t minus h, t plus h, x minus x 0, x minus x 1, x minus. So I want it the maximum of this, and this you can see that is a very simple expression, this is t square minus h square into t. So this will be t cubed minus t h squared. Now let us call this as g of t, so that I can find out derivative g dash of t, that is 3 t squared minus h square. I set this as 0, therefore t is equal to plus minus h upon root 3. Now I want the maximum of this, therefore I want the maximum of, now you can see because of this symmetry plus minus h here, whether I take plus or minus h, both of them are going to the same value, because one will in this case positive, negative or positive, negative. So it is going to give me t square minus h square into t, that is what I want here, that is maximum of that will be equal to magnitude of t square is h square by 3 minus h square into t, that is h upon root 3, h upon root 3. That gives me, this is minus 2 by 3 h cubed by root 3, that is 2 by 3 root 3 h cubed. Now when once I get this maximum, I can substitute in this and then get what is the error here. Therefore error now would be less than or equal to 1 upon factorial 3, that is 1 upon 6, 2 upon root 3 h cubed m 3, that is equal to h cubed by 9 root 3 m 3. Therefore this is the error of interpolation in quadratic interpolation. If it is equispaced, whether it is equispaced or not, the linear interpolation, this will be the error of approximation. But if I want the data which is not equispaced, then I shall use this particular expression to find out the maximum of the cubic. I can differentiate it and then get the values, two values of for x from here, and then find out the maximum out of those two values, substitute here and find the maximum, and that will give me the maximum value of the error in this one. That will be the bound for the error of interpolation. If you remember the example 1 and 2, we have finally said predict the value at a particular point, we have predicted the value. We shall now be able to say what would be the possible error of interpolation when we predict the value at any one of these interpolated points, either by linear polynomial, quadratic, or in general by nth degree polynomial. Now we shall take the examples on this next time.